What is up, guys? Wraec is here with a new video, and today, well, we have to take another look at Lone Gaze because, as you can see, he is almost down. It is almost time for the end of this event. So if you still have your attacks, make sure you get your top points. And for that, I bring you a top tier strategy right now that helped me get way higher up in the leaderboard again. So let's check that out. Let's try out this strategy. So basically, you need those heroes, except Thoran. He snuck in there. We don't want him. Smokey in the front. We take our OD. We have Smokey, OD. We have Coco. We have Rainier. And then we also have Vala. This gives us a very nice faction bonus, by the way, because we have 4 Mauler heroes. Well, we have Rainier, but he counts as a Mauler because Celestials and Hypogene are considered just +1 to the highest faction. So that is pretty nice for us. Beyond that, we use Vala as a damage dealer. Vala, very insane. I'll explain in a second why. Coco for our defense, Smokey for heal and buffs, and Rainier is our damage buff in that sense. OD, mostly for faction, but also some extra damage. Let's go. So we up in there, you can instantly see Vala teleported to the boss. It's a bit hard to see, but she's right there. And what she does is she uses her melee mode on this boss. We are only allowed to use auto battle here, so we can't manually switch her into the melee mode. The melee mode is better for damage. But for a lot of bosses, you don't really get to use that. Lone Gaze is an exception. Lone Gaze is an exception on that because he is now below 50% HP. That actually triggers Vala to use her melee mode instead. And this melee mode helps us to do a ton more damage. So, if you, by the way, get a low roll here, those wolves are a bit of a timing thing. Sometimes that can be quite unfortunate. And if this boss starts to deal damage, he often kills Vala instantly. That is a bit of a downside of this strategy, but we got 14.9 here. So that was a new high actually for me. Pretty nice. 30 chests there. I think we can high roll a bit higher than that as well. Let's do another fight while I explain the rest of this strategy. So, do you need Rainier? That is probably the question that I'm going to see in the comments a lot because people don't really have him. For the damage boost, we need him at Mythic Plus, which is not that easy to achieve. You can use Thoran instead. I recommend Thoran because right now our main damage is actually true damage. Our secondary damage is magic damage. So somebody like Kruger is not really going to help us. In that sense, Thoran is an option because he also debuffs the enemy and heightens his damage received. So that is very helpful. On top of that, you want a pretty high upgraded Coco to get those shields around her. I think that's happening on Mythic Plus. We'll take a look at that in a second. 15 million surpassed there, so we have a new high score. Very nice. And then you can see how this boss absolutely starts demolishing you. Yeah, that's a mechanic in that sense. Sometimes if you deal high damage, that can actually lead to your demise a bit quicker, but you actually see insane damage there from our Vala and Smokey actually out damaging our OD. Well, that's something you rarely see, but that comes from his aroma actually dealing true damage. That's the blue one. It's quite insane. So let's now take a look at the heroes, go a bit into the detail so you guys get the strategy. Leave one attack open that I will do at the end of the, well, towards the end of this, so that I have my max resonance level achieved. So I already put all of those heroes in here. We'll go over them one by one, go over the important traits. I have the weapon as +10. Weapon at +10 is not really important here because this is also only applies when we have when we defeat a marked enemy. So it's completely useless. You don't need it. Then we have basically her Supreme Plus ability. That is an extra 10% damage. It's rather nice. Beyond that, then we have Night Maneuver is not important, so you don't even need her there, which is quite good. This is also, well, this is her weapon. So yeah, okay. Hero Focus is pretty good. We can use that. Sky Blaster mode, and this is basically what we're talking about. We have Sky Blaster mode. And we have Sword mode. Sword mode, we get the 3 consecutive strikes here with this stun. Okay, that is just her targeter. And on the ult, you can see the important part. So we have 2 situations here. Usually, this works in the way that if you decide to activate her ult and cast it on an empty tile, she goes into her Skyblaster mode, which is the ranged mode. If you cast it on an enemy, she activates her melee mode. And the insane part of the melee mode is she rushes to slash the target, dealing 420% true damage. So we have true damage on our ult, which is a pretty good amount. 420% is actually a lot, but we can't trigger that in that way here. We need to rely on the auto battle mode, because that is the only thing allowed against bosses. In this situation, Vala relies on the boss having less than 50% HP. So if the boss on your server has less than 50% HP, you can use Vala and deal true damage with her melee mode, which is very, very insane. Then we get some extra damage, so the higher she is, actually the better. I sadly don't have the level 5 yet because it's 231, but that would also be very helpful. We have an extra damage there to enemies below 50% HP. Very, very helpful. So this is very nice actually. Keep in mind, Vala is a physical damage dealer, so part of her skill could be buffed by a hero like Kruger, but this true damage part that we are looking for and that we are using to deal those massive numbers, that part can't. So for this part to buff it, we rely on heroes like Thoran, we rely on heroes like Rainier. So if you want to buff that, those are basically your options that come to my mind, at least the better options. We could buff the OD, but as you saw, it's not really worth it. Then we have Rainier. For Rainier, to really make use of him, I mean, if you use him for survivability, okay, you can use him at an earlier level. For the damage increase that I was looking for, we are looking at Tuned Art, which is this weapon. And there we have increasing the damage taken 25% till battle ends. And this is like, yeah, this is basically the most useful part that we are looking for if you don't have Mythic plus Rainier. For more damage, I'd probably use Thoran. Instead. Coco's our survivability machine. And Coco, you can use her if she's lower. I did that for some time, so not Mythic plus. That works. That is okay, because we get the damage reduction, so we survive a little bit better. But I noticed that once we have the Fluffy Shield, which is her Mythic plus ability, this is like basically the way her skill works is she casts her ult, you get this symbol over the enemy head, and there in that time, damage is recorded. You get like a damage reduction, the damage is recorded, and then everything, all the damage received is dealt to you as true damage. But you have this insane damage reduction, so it's not that insane that you take this damage then. And also during the ult you survive, so it's pretty good. But this thing gives you a shield, and that shield actually changed a lot for me, actually made it a lot easier to survive, and that is a Mythic plus thing, so maybe this helps you. You should probably go for her on Mythic plus, also in the long term. I'm not going to go over much about OD, because we really mostly use him for the faction bonus, and for some extra damage we don't really get a whole lot out of him. If there was a better hero, maybe a Thoran style hero, something that buffs is able to elevate our true damage a bit higher, I would think about using that, but it would have to be a wilder hero in that sense. Smokey is just insane. Smokey starts off with just giving us a ton of attack. Then we have this white area, and we also have the special aroma, which is the third upgrading effect, which is actually insane. And this is like enemies in skill range 40% of their max HP during the aroma enhancement, and we have like we get a ton of buffs from that. We have an entire arena here, so it's very, very helpful actually. Can't really save us from the last phase of the boss. Last phase of the boss is TT phase that you saw where Stanley starts one-shotting my heroes. We will not be safe for this. This actually shows, I mean, like, those guys have more damage than me, obviously, but also this guy's 31 million power. I'm at like 12 million. So you can see the difference does not really reflect that. And the reason for that is that this boss starts dealing so much damage once you dealt a certain bit of damage to him. So that is like the reason for this. In any way, I hope this strategy helps you. Given you need Vala for this, but hopefully you can make some use out of it. As I said, Rainier not required. It is very helpful if you have him at Mythic Plus, but use the Thoran instead. Maybe link him to the Smokey in a way. We can show that. Let's put the OD in front here. We take Rainier out. We do it like this. And then maybe in such a way so that you have the link between the Smoky and the Thoran, makes it a bit easier for the Smoky to survive. And that might also be a pretty good strategy. You won't see any damage loss there because of Vala, because Vala will still use her ult in the auto battle mode to attack the boss and then start dealing damage to that. And yeah, that is basically the way. So, well, let's just try it. Let's just do it. Come on. We'll see how much Rainier changes that. I think we will lose out on some damage. I mean, we obviously will. Thoran also has this damage debuff, but it's just 17 or 18%. Depends a bit on your resonance level as well, because that is actually upgraded during that time. Odie, they're taking quite the pummeling, but you can see was all mitigated by our Coco. So if you want to check that out, maybe go a bit back, check out the Odie. He got hit by a lot of wolves, then gained his shield. Coco mitigated all of that. We're now at 10 million. Starting off now, we get the extra damage, and now we have a pretty bad timing actually. Oh no, we get the Coco buff. Okay, good. Still, Coco buff can't save you from everything, but saved us in this situation. Now we heal back up, very nice. Our Vala is dead though. So yeah, actually quite a bit less damage. But we are nearing the 30 million. It's not bad. It's not bad. 30 million on this boss is not bad damage at all. We can see where we would be in our leaderboard with that. Compared to the 15 million we had with Rainier. It's not really surprising. We lose out on two key factors. The first key factor is that we lose our faction bonus, or part of our faction bonus that Rainier grants. Rainier is a Hypogean hero, so he basically works as an addition to the highest faction, so he grants us a bit of faction bonus despite not being a Mauler hero. And Thoran, of course, doesn't do that, so we lose out on stats in that situation. And then we, of course, lose like 8% damage received. So that is a bit bad. But still pretty decent damage. Odie actually had some time to do a bit better here. Very nice. We still got 30 chests, which is quite fun. And let's see where we would be there. We would still be around here. It's like place 12 would be what we would be. So we would still get the top 20, which is pretty nice actually. So even on this server, this would have this strategy without owning Rainier would have worked out for us, which is still, let's see, ranking, yeah, top 20. So that would have worked. So basically a bit of a cheaper way to approach this. Thoran is an option for this. Just want to let you guys know. If you want, leave a subscription for this channel. Always makes me happy to see that number go up. And I hope I helped you a little bit get some more points. And with that, I wish you a great day. See us in the next one.